Blood Money update was an update that players were originally very excited for. It was advertised as bringing outlaw content to the game, and as this is a Wild West game that didn't have any outlaw activities, this did make players very excited. But when the 13th of July rolled round, the update was released, players were not so happy. What made fans feel even worse was only 1 week later, Rockstar released the GTA Online update, which went down really well with the community. It ended up making the Red Dead community feeling neglected. And today we're going to be breaking absolutely everything down of why Rockstar neglects Red Dead Online. Before I do get into the video, if you enjoy the content here and want to see a bit more from me, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. We are uploading Red Dead videos every other week, giving the latest tips and updates around Red Dead Online. So if you do want to keep up to date, then make sure you are following this channel. Getting back into the video, ever since the release of Red Dead Online, fans would argue that there's never been a moment where Red Dead has managed to get out GTA Online's shadow. The most recent example of this is Rockstar pushed a Blood Money update to Red Dead Online, which finally brought outlaw activities. But this was completely overshadowed by the GTA Online Los Santos Tunas update, which brought car meets and street races to the game. This stirred up a lot of conflict within the Red Dead community. Loads of players are now complaining about Red Dead, with there being many rant videos from some of your favorite creators. There's been loads of fans irritated in the comments of those videos, fans being outraged on Twitter. Pretty much wherever there's a place for fans to express their feelings, you better know that there's Red Dead fans complaining about the most recent update. Now this isn't me saying that you're wrong, you can feel however you want to feel, but in a lot of these rant videos, they all fail to explain why. Most videos are rant videos based on emotion without breaking down the facts, so that is exactly what we're going to be doing in this video. So firstly, the GTA Online update is better, we can all agree on that. Even if you do not like GTA Online and you've never ever played it and never want to play it, from an outsider looking in, you could still say that GTA Online's update was so much better received. We also know that GTA Online makes a lot more money than Red Dead Online. It has a much higher player count and there's a lot more content for players to buy into, making it that much more tempting for players to put their money into the game to buy shark cards and then use the in-game currency to buy the items that they want. Even I've done this. I don't play GTA as much as I play Red Dead, but I've put a lot more money into GTA than I've done in Red Dead since Red Dead Online was released back in 2018. And this is when players start to say that the reason that Rockstar neglects Red Dead Online is because GTA Online makes a lot more money. But even though that is a true statement, both games do get 2 updates per year. They both get an update around summertime and they both get an update around Christmas. To further balance this out, Rockstar also tried to push one GTA update, one Red Dead update, and continue this pattern going. In addition to this pattern that Rockstar likes to maintain with both games, they also push updates to both games being anywhere between 3 GB all the way up to around 7. The Los Santos Tunas update was around 3.5 GB all the way up to 4.3 GB depending which platform you have it on. As for the Blood Money update for Red Dead, it was anywhere between 5.2 GB going all the way up to 5.6, yet again depending which platform you buy it on. So even in this area, if we was to say that Rockstar does neglect Red Dead Online just for GTA because it makes more money, Red Dead does get the biggest update. And I know some of you are going to be quick to go down to the comment section to say that Red Dead's the later game, it's got higher quality assets, and this is why it's going to have a bigger update size, but it's also not going to make a huge difference. It's fair to say that both games are under the exact same game company, so they do have the exact same workflow. This will be the same process for creating models, textures, animations, sound effects, and visual effects. Those assets will also come under the same naming conventions for models, textures, animations, sound effects, and visual effects. We also know that with how Rockstar tests these new updates is the exact same from both games. The whole process in how Rockstar updates GTA is the exact same for how they update Red Dead. But it is true that Red Dead does have higher quality assets. We have to remember that GTA 5 was originally a 2013 game released on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. When Rockstar was developing assets for the GTA 5 release back in 2013, they had to make sure that those assets were suitable for the platform that they'll be running on. Even when GTA 5 was re-released on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, Rockstar still didn't update every single asset in-game. With Red Dead being released in 2018, it was designed to be played on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And because Xbox One and PlayStation 4 is just better hardware overall compared to Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, it meant that you could do more, including creating higher quality assets. Now, the reason that all of this is important for today's updates within 2021 is because when Rockstar, or any game company for that matter, push an update to their game, they want it to match the same texture resolution as what's already within the game. Otherwise, it will stand out, and this is not in a good way. So when Rockstar pushes updates to Red Dead, you'll find that it's actually slightly bigger files because it needs to appeal to the quality of that game. This means 3D models will have more polys, textures will be at a higher resolution, visual effects will have more detail, and your audio will be at a higher quality. This is all to make sure that whenever a new update gets pushed, it's at the same scale and resolution compared to everything else within the game. The thing is, once you start adding all of this together, it's not going to be making 2 GB difference in the update size. Every game company has a limit on what they want as a poly count for 3D models, and tools such as Substance Painter, which is industry standard, allows you to make high quality textures that can be compressed down to very small files. So even though, yes, Red Dead has higher quality and assets, it isn't the sole reason of why Red Dead Online's update is slightly bigger compared to GTA. In fact, the biggest reason comes down to scalable content. This might come as a shock to many players, but when a game gets a new update, it isn't fully unique. Not every single asset or gameplay feature or new mechanic was built from scratch. A huge bulk of it will actually be assets being reused. This is your 3D models, your textures, your audio, your code, and also visual effects. This is all for efficiency. It saves space, it saves time, it saves the company money, and with that time and money that has been saved, you can then better spend that elsewhere to create more content. Even the ability to work on other projects that could be scalable content within the future. In this area, GTA beats Red Dead Online every single time, and Red Dead is never ever going to be able to catch up. GTA has 8 years of updates being pushed to the game. With every single update that was added at any point with any future updates, Rockstar can look back to look at what gameplay mechanics, what type of assets were used, and they could very easily reuse them. And if they're getting reused for any future content, it means those assets are already within the game, so it doesn't actually add any more space. Whereas currently for Red Dead Online, this is limited. There is of course assets and gameplay mechanics that can be reused, but when you compare it to GTA, it is a very small amount. Just to put this in a gameplay scenario, if Rockstar wanted to push a GTA update which included a new heist, Rockstar can look back at some of the previous updates that were released that did include different types of heists, and they can reuse different gameplay features, gameplay mechanics, and assets to create something completely new. 3D models can have the exact same form but be completely retextured so it looks like something completely different. And just to make sure that it wasn't a complete reskin of a heist that was already part of the game, they can then spend whatever time and money they've managed to save by reusing assets to create new gameplay features and new assets to sprinkle in with the reused content. When we move to Red Dead Online, if Rockstar was to push a new heist to this game, they have a smaller pool of assets and gameplay mechanics that could be reused for this heist content. So this needs to be built from scratch. And as all of this needs to be built from scratch and it is new content being updated to the files, it means it's going to take a lot more time, but it's also going to be a bigger file when it is finally pushed to the game. When any new gameplay mechanic, gameplay feature, or asset gets pushed to any game, that's when it takes the most time to do. The time that you have to actually create it, and especially when it comes to programming, the amount of times that you work on something only for it to not be fully functioning when it is finally done, and to go and bug test it, to iterate it, to make it better, to improve it. It takes a lot of time, but once it is fully fleshed out and it can be used in any other area, it's then just a case of trying to copy it and then reuse it in that different area. Red Dead Online does have scalable content. They have implemented this over the years, but it has taken a lot of time. This will be certain gameplay mechanics, outlaw passes which are now known as quick draw passes, legendary animals, and collector sets. If anyone has been keeping a close eye, you'll realize that there are certain missions that are reused as part of roles. A very good example of this is Stranger Missions. Stranger Missions have been part of the game ever since it was first released, but even though they've been here since day one, a lot of players haven't realized that they were used for pretty much every role, either by using some of the assets, some of the gameplay mechanics, some of the gameplay features. Pretty much for the naturalist role where you have Harriet's legendary animal missions, they were exact copies of Stranger Missions. Bonnie McFarlane has 2 missions where you have to find a cougar or a bear. you're sent to a rough location where you inspect clues to eventually come across that animal. With Harriet's legendary animals, you are sent to a location to find a certain animal. In that location, you inspect clues until you eventually come across that animal. The only difference is at the end of Bonnie McFarlane's mission, you kill that animal, take it back to her, and you do not get that carcass and you do not get that pelt. You are given a set fee in money, gold, and XP. But with the Harriet missions, you have the option to sedate and sample or kill and skin. But either way, at the end of the mission, you do not get paid for it, but you do get resources added to your satchel depending on the option that you picked. It is the exact same gameplay mechanics, and it's exactly why for every single one of Harriet's missions, there's multiple variations, because nothing that was created there was new apart from the sedate and sample mechanic. And even then, it's still the exact same shooter mechanic from the varmint rifle, which was already within the game. It's just now that the sedative ammo was added, it has a different purpose. If those stranger missions were never part of the game when it was first released, Rockstar would never be able to reuse assets from those stranger missions, including the gameplay layout itself. So therefore, that would have to be created from scratch, and that's when it's going to take a lot more time. That's where we wouldn't have the amount of legendary animals that we did have, and with the legendary animal missions, they'll be limited where there wouldn't be as many variations. Now this is just one example. We haven't actually got time to go through everything because this video would be multiple days long. No exaggeration, there's so much that gets reused that you wouldn't even believe it. So in conclusion, GTA Online does make more money than Red Dead Online. This is obvious. Everyone knows it at this point. But despite GTA Online making more money than Red Dead Online, Rockstar still pushes 2 updates per year for both games, with it interchanging between Red Dead, Red Dead, and GTA, and continuously keep this pattern going. For both games, updates can vary anywhere between 3 GB all the way up to 7 GB, and it's not always the case that GTA has a bigger update than Red Dead, because as we've already discovered, it doesn't. But the biggest difference between the two games is that GTA has had 8 years of content, whereas Red Dead is coming up to 3. In all of those previous GTA updates that Red Dead never had, at any point for any future updates, Rockstar can look back at previous content, previous assets, and reuse it. By reusing it, it saves money, it saves time, and it's extremely efficient, allowing them to not spend time recreating that asset from scratch, but in fact to spend more time on creating new content. Eventually, this just becomes a snowball effect. Red Dead is starting to take advantage of this scalable content, but it does take years for it to be first implemented. We're still not fully there, as they'll continue to add new content to the game and new gameplay features. But we can look back at the previous content that's been delivered, and we can safely say that the updates that were part of the second year of Red Dead Online were bigger and they lasted longer compared to the first year. It may not be exactly what you wanted, but it lasted longer. It's also the exact same for the third year. This year, content is bigger and lasting longer compared to what we had last year. This will carry on going as long as Red Dead is profitable, but it's never ever going to catch up with GTA, so it's pointless comparing updates. There's never going to be a situation where Red Dead catches up with GTA. This is just the way it works. And it's not just GTA and Red Dead, this is all game companies. All game companies that deal with content drops and pushing updates on a regular basis, even if it is only 2 times per year, it's still the exact same issue. And they solve it by going through the scalable content. If you do have any questions about anything that I've spoken about in this video, then please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. Understand that we went through a lot and it has been a fairly long video. To further help you out, I've also linked to many sources in the description which you can click and you can just read along. Everything that I've spoken about in this video is included, and it's all backed up by academic research which is used in the gaming industry and has been proven. But anyway guys, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did enjoy, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. But for now, I'm going to see it.